Good afternoon. Today is day 36 and reading Exodus chapter 36 through 38, Matthew chapter 23 verses 1 through 22, King James Version. Chapter 36. Then wrought Bezalel and Aholiab and every wise-hearted man in whom the Lord put wisdom and understanding to know how to work all manner of work for the service of the sanctuary, according to all that the Lord had commanded. And Moses called Bezalel and Aholiab and every wise-hearted man in whose heart the Lord had put this wisdom, even every one whose heart stirred up to come unto the work to do it. And they received of Moses all the offering which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the sanctuary to make it withal. And they brought yet unto him free offerings every morning. And all the wise men that wrought all the work of the sanctuary came every man from his work which they made. And they spake unto Moses, saying, the people bring much more than enough for the service of the work which the Lord commanded to make. And Moses gave commandment, and they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the camp, saying, let neither man nor woman make any more work for the offering of the sanctuary. So the people were restrained from bringing, for the stuff they had was sufficient for all the work to make it, and too much. And every wise-hearted man among them that wrought the work of the tabernacle made 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue and purple and scarlet, and cherubims of cunning work made he them. The length of one curtain was 28 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits, and the curtains were all of one size. And he coupled the 5 curtains one unto another, and the other 5 curtains he coupled one unto another. And he made loops of blue an edge of one curtain from the selvage in the coupling. Likewise he made in the uttermost side of another curtain, in the coupling of the second. 50 loops made he in one curtain, and 50 loops made he in the edge of the curtain, which was the coupling of the second. And loops held one curtain together. And he made 50 taches of gold, and coupled the curtains one unto another with the taches, so it became one tabernacle. And he made curtains of goat's hair for the tent over the tabernacle. 11 curtains he made them. And the length of one curtain was 30 cubits, and 4 cubits was the breadth of one curtain. And 11 curtains were of one size. And he coupled 5 curtains by themselves, and 6 curtains by themselves. And he made 50 loops upon the uttermost edge of the curtain in the coupling, and 50 loops made he upon the edge of the curtain which coupled the second. And he made 50 taches of brass to couple the tent together, that it might be one. And he made a covering for the tent of rams, skins dyed red, and a covering of badger skin above that. And he made boards of the tabernacle of the shittim wool, standing up. The length of a board was 10 cubits, and the breadth of a board 1 cubit and a half. One board had 2 tenons equally distant one from another. Thus did he make all the boards of the tabernacle. And he made boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards for the south side southward, and 40 sockets of the silver he made unto the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for his 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for his 2 tenons. And for the another side of the tabernacle, which is toward the north corner, he made 20 boards. And there are 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And for the sides of the tabernacle westward he made 6 boards. And 2 boards made he for the corners of the tabernacle in the 2 sides. And they were coupled beneath, and coupled together at the head thereof to one ring. Thus he did both of them in both the corners. And there were 8 boards, and their sockets were 16 sockets of silver, under every board 2 sockets. And he made boards of shittim wool, 5 of the boards of the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars of the boards of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars of the boards of the tabernacle of the sides westward. And he made the middle bar to shoot through the boards from one end to the other. And he overlaid the boards with gold, and made their rings of gold to be places for the bars, and overlaid the bars with gold. And he made a veil of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen, which the cherubims made he it of cunning work. And he made thereunto 4 pillars of shittim wool, and overlaid them with gold. The hooks were of gold, and he cast for them 4 sockets of silver. And he made an hanging for the tabernacle door of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen of needlework, and the 5 pillars of it with their hooks, and he overlaid their chapiters and their fillets with gold. Both their 5 sockets were of brass. Chapter 37. And Bezalel made the ark of shittim wool, 2 cubits and a half the length of it, and a cubit and a half the breadth of it, and a cubit and a half the height of it. And he overlaid it with pure gold within and without, and made a crown of gold to it round about. And he cast it 4 rings of gold to be set by the 4 corners of it, even 2 rings upon the one side of it, and 2 rings upon the other side of it. And he made staves of shittim wool and overlaid them with gold. And he put the staves into the rings by the sides of the ark to bear the ark. And he made the mercy seat of pure gold, 2 cubits and a half was the length thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth thereof. And he made 2 cherubims of gold beaten out of one piece, made he them on the 2 ends of the mercy seat. 1 cherub on the end of this side, and another cherub on the other end of that side. Out of the mercy seat made he the cherubims on the 2 ends thereof. And the cherubims spread out their wings on high, and covered with their wings over the mercy seat, with their faces one to another, even to the mercy seatward were the faces of the cherubims. And he made the table of shittim wool, 2 cubits was the length thereof, and a cubit and breadth thereof, and a cubit and a half the height thereof. And he overlaid it with pure gold, and made thereunto a crown of gold round about. And he made thereunto a border of an handbreadth round about, and made a crown of gold for the border thereof round about. And he cast for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings upon the 4 corners that were in the 4 feet thereof. Over against the border were the rings, the places for the staves to bear the table. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold to bear the table. And he made the vessels which were upon the table, his dishes and his spoons and his bowls. And it's covered to cover withal of pure gold. And he made the candlesticks of pure gold, of beaten work made he the candlesticks. His shaft and his branch, his bowls, his knops, and his flowers were of the same. And 6 branches going out of the side thereof, 3 branches of the candlestick out of the one side thereof, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of the other side thereof. 3 bowls made after the fashion of almonds in one branch, a knop and a flower, and 3 bowls made like almonds in another branch, a knop and a flower. So throughout the 6 branches going out of the candlestick. And in the candlestick were 4 bowls made like almonds, his knops and his flowers, and a knop on the 2 branches of the same, and a knop on the 2 branches of the same, and a knop on the 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches going out of it. Their knops and their branches were of the same. All of it was one beaten work of pure gold. And he made his 7 lamps and his snuffers and his snuff dishes of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold made he it, and all the vessels thereof. And he made the incense altar of shittim wood, and the length of it was a cubit, and the breadth of it was a cubit, and it was 4 square and 2 cubits was the height of it. The horns thereof were of the same. And he overlaid it with pure gold, both the top of it and the side thereof round about. And the horns of it also he made unto it a crown of gold round about. And he made 2 rings of gold for it under the crown thereof by the 2 corners of it, upon the 2 sides thereof to be places of the staves to bear it withal. And he made the staves of shittim wool and overlaid them with gold. And he made the holy anointing oil and the pure incense of sweet spices, according to the work of the apothecary. Chapter 38. And he made the altar a burnt offering of shittim wool. 5 cubits was the length thereof, and 5 cubits the breadth thereof. It was 4 square, and 3 cubits in height thereof. And he made the horns thereof on the 4 corners of it. The horns thereof were of the same, and he overlaid it with brass. And he made all the vessels of the altar, the pots and the shovels, and the basins, and the fresh hooks, and the fire pans. All the vessels thereof made he of brass. And he made for the altar a brazen gate of network under the compass thereof beneath unto the midst of it. And he cast 4 rings for the 4 ends of the grate of brass to be places of the staves. And he made the staves of shittim wool and overlaid them with brass. And he put the staves into the rings of the side of the altar to bear it withal. He made the altar hollow with boards. And he made the laver of brass and the foot of it of brass of the looking glass and of the women assembly, which assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he made the court on the south side southward. The hangings of the court were of the fine twined linen, 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their brazen sockets 20. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. And for the north side, the hangings were 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their sockets of brass 20. The hooks of the pillars and their fillers of silver. And for the west side were hangings of 50 cubits, their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. The hooks of the pillars and their fillet of silver. And for the east side, eastward 50 cubits. The hangings of one side of the gate were 15 cubits, the pillars 3, and the sockets 3. And for the other side of the court gate, on this hand and that hand, were hangings of 15 cubits, the pillars 3, and the sockets 3. All the hangings of the court round about were of fine twined linen, and the sockets and pillars were of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillers of fillet, and the overlaying of their chapiters of silver, and all the pillars of the court were laid with silver. And the hangings of the gate of the court was needlework of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen, and 20 cubits was the length, and the height and the breadth was 5 cubits, answerable to the hangings of the court. And their pillars were 4, and their sockets of brass 4, the hooks of silver, and the overlaying of their chapiters, and their fillets of silver. And all the pins of the tabernacle and of the court round about were of brass. This is the sum of the tabernacle, even of the tabernacle of testimony, as it was counted according to the commandment of Moses, for the service of the Levites by the hand of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. And Bezalel, the son Uri, the son of Hur, and the tribe of Judah made all the Lord commanded Moses, that the Lord commanded Moses. And with him was Aholiab, son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver and a cunning workman, and an embroiderer in blue and purple and in scarlet and fine linen. All the gold that was occupied for the work and all the work of the holy place, even the gold of the offering, was 29 talents and 730 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. And the silver of them that were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents and 1,760 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. A beaker for every man, that is, half a shekel, after the shekel of the sanctuary, for everyone that went to be numbered from 20 years old and upward, for 600,000 and 3,550 men. And of the 100 talents of silver were cast the sockets of the sanctuary, and the sockets of the veil, 100 sockets of the 100 talents, a talent for a socket. And of the 1,775 shekels, he made hooks of the pillars and overlaid their chapiters and filleted them. And the brass of the offering was 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. And therewith he made the sockets of the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the brazen altar, and the brazen gate for it, and all the vessels of the altar, and the sockets of the court round about, and the sockets of the court gate, and all the pins of the tabernacle, and all the pins of the court round about. Matthew chapter 23, verse 1 through 22. Then spake Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes of the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat, and therefore whosoever they bid you observe, that observe and do it. But do not ye after their works, for they say, and do not. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulder, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad and phylacterious, and enlarge the borders of their garments, and love the uppermost rooms at feasts, and the chief seats in the synagogue, and greetings in the markets, and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi. But be not ye called Rabbi, for one is your master, even Christ, and all ye are brethren. And call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. Neither be ye called masters, for one is your master, even Christ. But ye that is greatest among you should be your servant. And whosoever shall exalt himself should be abased, and he that shall humble himself should be exalted. But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. For ye neither go in yourselves, neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye devour widows' houses, and for pretense make long prayer. Therefore ye shall receive the greater damnation. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye compass sea and land to make one proselyte, and when he is made, ye make him twofold more the child of hell than yourself. Woe unto you, ye blind guides, which say, whosoever shall swear by the temple, it is nothing. Whosoever shall swear by the gold of the temple, he is a debtor. Ye fools and blind, for whether is greater, the gold or the temple that sanctifies the gold? And whosoever shall swear by the altar, it is nothing. But whosoever shall swear by the gift that's upon it, he is guilty. Ye fools and blind, for whether is greater, the gift or the altar that sanctifies the gift? Whoso therefore shall swear by the altar, swear by it, and by all things thereon. And whoso shall swear by the temple, swear by it, and by him that dwelleth therein. And he that shall swear by heaven, swear by the throne of God, and by him that sitteth therein.